All right, so here's the deal. I'm going to delete this one, and then delete this. I'm going to delete this cube, and then this sphere, I'm going to get rid of this boolean. So we were kind of starting from scratch over there.
Yeah.
So over in Illustrator, I exported this, right? In Blender, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File. I'll make this full screen because it's just confusing otherwise. File, Import, SVG, and then it is on my desktop, my pumpkin SVG, and it's going to show up down there. Okay, so with my pumpkin SVG selected, it's going to actually come in as many curves. What I'm going to do is shift click each of these to get them all in one big package, right? And then I go over to Object, Join, so that they all turn into now one object. Now there's just this one curve, and I'll call this, I'll call it pumpkin curve. Now what I do with it selected is I kind of right click on it and convert, or no, I just go to Object, Convert to Mesh. Now it's a mesh. And then there are two different ways of doing this. I can extrude it, where I just go to the tab, and with like a line selected or something like that, I can come to my extrude.
Okay.
Actually, I'll just select all of them. Sort of pull that up.
What did you click for select all?
A is select all. That's shortcut key for select all. And now I'll tab back, and now I'll kind of like rotate it. So I want to rotate along the X. So I'll just change that to exactly 90. And then I'll get back to my move. The anchor point's in a kind of weird spot, so that's just kind of like get him in a good spot.
Big.
I think we can scale him down a little bit. Nice.
Great.
So just get it so that it's kind of like coming out of the whole way.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that's fine. And then we'll go into sphere, add a modifier, boolean. Whoops, sorry, that was the wrong one. That was interesting though. What I did, a build modifier. That's not good. Add a modifier, boolean, and then it's this thing. This object is what I want to be my pumpkin curve. So I put that in there. And then it does do some janky things to the edges, but if I turn the pumpkin curve off, and I got it, if I just do this, that just turns it off for working. What I actually want to do for rendering is I want to go over to the object, and under visibility, I want to select don't show in viewport and don't show in renders. And now I've got this little guy here who is.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what's going to happen is like there are these. There are extra faces in there that I may or may not want.
Extra faces, like.
Well, do you see that? So I'm going to come.
Edge.
Yeah, and so the modified actually have to go in here and hit apply. Yeah, and if I hit tab, I'll see like the places where there are weird things happening, and I could go in there and try to clear that mesh up. But the other thing I can do is in like points mode, I can try to select. I'm trying to get my hands on one of these points. I think that's it. No, I'm going to turn off. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to go to mesh, and I'm going to go to, or sorry, select, and I want to select either similar or linked. I think I'll do similar by area. No. Select. Okay. No. Select. Similar by normal. No luck. All right, so I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm just going to delete this. face. Okay. Yeah.
What is the key you're hitting?
Oops, hang on. X is delete.
Oh, okay.
This is like a little bit optional, but like it's just that doesn't look quite as
Oh, I feel like there was a blank tile on the back.
oh, yeah, you're right. Well, you'll do better than me.
Well, you were in a rush.
Yeah, you're right. So that's what happened.
Okay,
Get-
but
get
I
inside in.
understand what you're talking about because it created like these intruding faces.
Exactly, and that will give him. It'll just be, that. Now, what you can do then is with this sphere, is you can then apply a modifier, solidify modifier to it.
Oh.
And what that'll do is it'll add back in some of that 2 centimeter solidifier or
give
something
it like a
that.
thickness.
Yeah, it'll give him his thickness back again.
Oh, nice.
And then, so if I go back to the render mode,
oh, it looks really cool.
yeah, those polygons there are problematic. If I had subdivided even more, it would have been smoother. What's happening there, it's this is stuff that I'm just learning, so I'm not pretending I'm some expert at it. But like that's what happens when you have triangles mixed with squares. So all of these are little triangles here.
Okay.
And what typically people might want to do is try to like minimize these, or find some way of getting into squares, and that's called retopologizing. If you want to look that up.
Okay.
But that's what's creating those weird little bits of jankiness. So you can probably fix it a fair bit by getting some of these points. Like that. These points. And moving them around to where they collapse into other points. There's this tool called where if you get this thing, in order to get it to be, well, I don't want to put proportional editing on. If I get it close enough to this guy, it should
automatically join.
Yeah, but what I got to do is a ton of things to do. Actually, I got to turn snapping on and have it snap to the face of the thing, and then I want this thing to be along the normal, I think. So it is snapping to it, but it's snapping to exactly the wrong thing. So yeah, we're way beyond my confidence.
So this is the retopologizing.
Yeah, it's something that
Okay, I'll Google around and see if I can
it's seriously not